Okay, so I got Oscar with me. This is his second day of training, and so I'm gonna show you guys what that looks like starting off and how we ease dogs into our boarding and training program. Oscar has some basic issues that we're just gonna tune in. He gets stressed out on walks. He gets stressed out during obedience commands. He lacks a little confidence. And what we're gonna do today is tune up his commands, get him an amazing off-leash heel, really rock solid. And we're gonna work on his play stay, down stay, and basically just tune him in all around. So the first thing we start with that really builds confidence is luring. So I like to hold my treat with the 3 fingers out, and I kind of pinch the treat in the middle. And I'm gonna want him interested, actively trying to nibble that treat out of my hand these entire reps. And so I can go to the right, and typically people will use their left hand here because it's easier. But if you want, you can go to your right, he's nibbling on it, and then just flip your wrist around. But the treat always has to be touching his nose. Good, and so I'll just take him to the left side of my body, and then back to the right side of my body. And that kind of loosens him up, super easy wins. And then from here, we're gonna go into sit, down, and stand. So when I lure him, I'm gonna lure him up. Once he sits, I'll pop a treat in his mouth. And when we lure up, I'll show you guys this. We're gonna kind of go at an arc, getting his head over his shoulder blades. When his head goes over his shoulder blades, his booty's gonna drop to the ground. Once his head goes over his shoulder blades, okay, if he jumps, typically we don't want the jumping. We train pets, so jumping on grandma is not what we're going for at all. However, since we're training, I'm not gonna punish him right now. There's a time and a place to punish unwanted behaviors. This is not the time. So we're gonna lure up and over, get his butt to the ground, and then from here, instead of coming straight to the ground, I'm gonna come at this little angle. And then once his elbows are on the ground, I'm gonna say yes, and then pop that treat in his mouth. Good boy. From here, we're gonna get him into a stand, which he already did. And so it's gonna look like treat right in front of his nose. Good. Yes. Good job, buddy. Sit, down. I like to reward on down. Stand. Good boy. Yes. Then I'm gonna turn him around. Sit, down. Good boy. Come on. Stand. Good. So that's luring for sit, down, stand. Those are your basics. And you can see he's really dropping into a sit. He's getting into a down. He's going quickly, so I'm gonna progress and move on. Sometimes people wanna just get every rep they possibly can, and they'll push the dogs farther than the dog really needs to be pushed. What I like to do is as soon as the dog shows me that he's really starting to understand what the drill is, I'm gonna go ahead and move on so it doesn't get boring for him. We want training to be fun. Okay, so now we're gonna do place and come. So I'm gonna get his focus. Come here, Bubba, hey, come on. So I'm gonna lure him onto place. I like to get him into a sit or a down before I reward. Then I'm gonna back up, hold my hand out, come. Yes, good boy. We're just gonna go back and forth like that. Oscar, come on, Oscar. Yes, good boy. Come, good boy. Place, yes. And when you walk away, you wanna do your best to keep him on place to really emphasize that come command. Oscar, come here, Bubba. Place, yes. Come, good boy. And little things like that are gonna help us teach a stay later on. Oh, that's a good boy. That's a good boy. Good job, Bubba. Good job. You wanna be praising him, keeping his energy up. You can see his tail. He's got a wiggly butt. He's nice and happy. He's not afraid. This is everything we wanna see while we're training. Okay, Oscar, I'm gonna do one more. Place. Yes. Okay, his front 2 feet are off here. So I could do a couple things. I can like make him aware of his feet. Okay, he hopped off and he licked his lips, so that was a little too stressful for him, so I'm not gonna do that next time. The other thing I could have done is just lured him off and then back on. So I'm gonna go ahead and lure him back on now. Hey, psst, psst. Place. Yes, good boy. Come. Good. Okay, once they have those basics down of luring, we move on to leash pressure and body pressure. Okay, and so what that is when I pull up on the leash, that means his booty needs to hit the ground. So I'm gonna pull him to me, I'm gonna pull straight up, he sits, I reward. And that's super beneficial, because if I'm walking and then someone's coming up to talk to me, I can just boop, pull up on that leash and not even look at him, and he can sit, which is really nice. Good boy. Okay. The next thing we like to teach is down with leash pressure. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna get him into a sit. I'm gonna drop my leash and create this U shape. I'm gonna slip my foot through the leash. We don't wanna lift our foot. If we lift our foot, this will mean down. So we like to slide our foot over the leash. Then I'm gonna pull the leash, making it taut. Okay, he doesn't have focus on me, so I'm gonna touch his head to get focus. Yes. Good boy. I'm not gonna give him a treat here. He just is not really focused. Giving a treat every rep is important in the beginning. However, we've already worked with him a little bit with luring, and so I don't necessarily have to reward every single rep, and that's gonna be important later on down the road, which I'll talk about in another video. Variable and dependent or constant reward schedules. Okay, so we're gonna get a couple more down reps. So I'm gonna pull up, drop the leash, slip my foot in it, get some leash tension, hold it. I wanna make sure he stays focused on the drill. That was a great one, so I wanna reward that one. Good boy. From here we go to a stand, SIT. And then when I say down, I wanna basically call it out while he's in the movement to lay down in. So it's gonna look like this. Come on, Oscar. Come on, buddy. Okay. This time I'm not gonna get him to sit. I'm just going to leash pressure, down. That's the timing. So I'll get 2 more reps so you guys can see my timing here. Okay. Down. Yes. Psst, psst. Down. Yes. Good boy. We'll get 1 more. Down. Good boy. Good job, buddy. Okay, good. So that's leash pressure. Sometimes you're gonna really struggle with the sit or a down. So like I pull the leash up and he doesn't sit down. And if that happens, I'll try to get him over here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take our hand. I like to slide it down their back until I get their hip bone right here. And then I'm gonna apply pressure, and I want the pressure to go kind of like over his rear end and down to the ground. And so I'll come here, and then I'll slowly apply pressure going down. And then I need him to give in to this pressure. And then once he does, I let off, and then I can reward. Good, so what that looks like, come on, is we'll have leash pressure up, and then I apply pressure on his rear end. And then once he starts sitting, I'm gonna let off of all forms of pressure. Good job, buddy. Okay. Okay, and then the same thing with the down. So I'm gonna do, he's doing so well. Good boy. He's a very, very fast learner. So let me try to show you guys what this looks like. Here, I like to take my hand and slide down his neck, and I'm gonna get on top of these shoulder blades here, and then I'm gonna apply pressure, again, not straight to the ground, but a little bit at this angle here. And so I'm just giving him a little pressure, and then I let off. And you want both leash pressure and body pressure. There's a lot of times you're not gonna have your leash on you, and you're gonna wanna communicate with them to lay down. And if you just touch their rump, they'll sit. You touch their shoulder blades, they lay down. And having a dog that's that responsive to touch is so beneficial. I mostly do that with my dogs at night or in the morning when I'm just really tired. Me personally, I just snap my fingers and then they go lay down. But say my dog wants to lay on the couch or something like this, and I'm tired, I don't want to speak, I don't even want to snap, I can just touch his shoulder blade, and then he'll just drop where he is. He knows, okay, I'm not supposed to get on the couch right now. Hayden doesn't want me up there. I'm just gonna lay down on the ground next to him instead. And it's a great way to communicate. All right, and then with leash pressure, when we move on, I showed you leash pressure sitting, I showed you leash pressure down. Now we're gonna do leash pressure place and come. So with place and come, there's gonna be steps to this, basically like progressing. There's gonna be progressions. And so the first time I'm gonna walk all the way right up on it. And then when he sits on the placemat, I'll give him a treat. So you can see where my feet are. They're underneath the dog cot. Come on. So now when I walk up, I'm gonna keep my feet like a foot from the dog cot. So I'm gonna walk here, leash pressure up. Yes. Now I'm gonna do about here. Come on. Good boy. So I walk up, leash pressure. Okay, he didn't quite get it. I'm gonna try one more time, and then if he doesn't get it again, you hear that sneeze? Place. Good, good. That sneeze was likely a displacement. It's a stress signal. I basically raised the criteria on him and he didn't understand it. And dogs want to succeed. They don't want to fail. So that was a good sign that we saw. When we're training the dogs, we want to incorporate stress in our training so that when they feel stress in the real world, they're more likely to handle it correctly, because stress is stress. It doesn't matter if it's stress in our training situation or stress because an old lady in a shopping cart is getting too close to us. It's both stressful. They're both stressful situations. And if they learn how to handle it in a structured environment, they can carry that same way of handling the stress into the real world environment. And so when we're training, you want to stress your dogs out. You don't want to make it so easy for them every time. Every time we should be making our training a little bit more stressful. And say here's his stress threshold. When I'm training him, I'm gonna get him here and then I'm gonna pull back. And then the next time I get him here, his stress threshold's gonna lift up a little bit more and then I'm gonna pull back. And so little by little, that stress threshold is going to keep getting higher and higher until I have him at a really good spot, and then he'll be bulletproof in public, which is, I think, what everybody really wants their dog to be. And then you can take him with you to go eat or shopping or what have you. Okay, so here we go again. Now I'm gonna start to say the command as soon as I get to that spot. So I'm gonna call him, Oscar, place. Yes, good boy. I'm gonna tug the leash and say, come, come. Yes, good boy. And I'm giving him a lot of treats here. So you wanna be filling your bag up with dog food as well. So we're not just giving him treats for a long amount of time. You really only wanna be giving your dog treats for about 10 minutes and then switch to dog food or another form of food. Treats are like ice cream for dogs, and we want to mitigate how much they get. Okay, Oscar, place. Good, so we've made some progress here. Okay, he got off, no worries. I'm not gonna correct him, I'm just gonna ask him to do it again. Place. Yes, good job. A lot of times we get so quick to correct our dogs that we don't give them the opportunity to just try again. And think about how often you need grace in life. When you make a mistake, you knew you made a mistake. You knew if you had a second chance, you'd do it differently, but you're never given that second chance. You're just punished right off the rip. So for him, we want to be sure to give him that space in the training. Like, yes, I'm going to stress him out, but it's not going to be from the punishers he necessarily receives from making a wrong choice week one. Week one is all about acquiring what we're saying. What does it mean to lay down? What does it mean to hear the word come? What does come mean? Does it mean come to you? Does it mean to lay down on the ground? What do these things mean? We're just getting him to become fully develop an understanding for what all the drills mean. Okay, so that's leash pressure, place, down, come, heel, or I didn't do heel, but sit. Okay, and so then after we get through the basics, Then we start to move on to e-collar drills, and I'll show you guys what the start of our e-collar drills look like.